scraping every ounce of this out. How is everybody? Welcome, welcome. This is countertopepoxy.com, the channel, and we are here to teach you guys how to do a black marble sample. Right now, I'm using a foam roller to spread the base coat, about 15 square feet per gallon. We're pouring this on a hollow core door, but this simulates the same thickness as a countertop. It's just a little bit wider. This would be about a peninsula width. This is 36 inches, so at 36 inches wide, that would make a perfect peninsula. The edge coat was already applied, of course, so this should break over the edge pretty nicely. We usually apply the edge coat, as you see that gray strip, up about an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches over the top. We usually will apply it. Don't be afraid to sand it, let it dry, sand it, and apply another coat real thin again. Don't ever rush your prep, especially these, especially the edges. Edges are everything, so I'm realizing my arms aren't as long as. All right, it's about to get a little funner.
I didn't listen. It's been a good day for me. Thanks for asking someone else.
Awesome. Proud of you guys. Have an awesome Wednesday. You guys get a lot done, hopefully. My goal to try to enjoy work as much as possible. I think we're stuck here, so we may as well try to love the time and the process as much as we can. I see people that don't like their jobs, so they piss off about it and they have shitty ass attitudes and they whine about their boss, and I'm like, half the time working hard's not even for somebody else, it's for you. It benefits you. If you're a blessing to people, you'll get blessed. So make sure you go home proud of what you did, regardless if anybody else noticed it or not. That's integrity, when you do what's right, even when nobody's watching. Often this is the time, now we have our base totally poured, that a person would pick up a torch. But remember, if we were to pick up our torch right now, we'd be heating the surface to pop air bubbles, which also loses us a lot of working time because of that additional heat. Because heat speeds the exothermic reaction, losing us work time that we might want later on. So if we want to leave ourselves work time, we'll get on to accenting right now, and we'll leave our torch till the end. And we won't apply any of that additional heat until we're totally done manipulating this. Today I'm going to try to actually make a sample that we might leave. So be as critical as you want, but realize I am trying to target one of our samples that we have. So if it wasn't for some of your guys' criticism, I'd never be as good as I am. No, I'm just kidding. That was pretty arrogant. I'm just kidding. And if it wasn't for my lack of care things up. Remember, when applying veins, be random, especially if you're an organized person. This is not your friend, this process. This is white pearl. It's not a pure white either, so remember, it's very different than a pure white. So I always try to make sure people recognize the difference between a pearl white and a pure white. And here, just so you can really accent and see it, I'll pour the pure white right down the center of your actual white. And you see that difference between the pearl and the pure white. I don't know how much of that shows up on camera, but in person it's really drastically different when you see what an actual pearl versus just an opaque white does. So now, if you want to be able to leave a really crisp vein, which is very important, because on marble not all the veins are big contrasting veins, so get a smaller amount. Yeah, we're going to be kind of careful here. We're going to dip into our epoxy here. We're going to get a little pile here to work with, and I want it up on the side of my stick here. Sorry, this looks a little bit messy, but I'm going to wait, try to get a single vein dripping off, and I'm not going to curve this. I don't want it to look like a rainbow or windshield wipers or anything. I want to leave pretty right angles on my corners and very fractured too, because if you'll notice in white marble and most of the veins happened fracturing in the rocks and sediment and whatnot. So you'll see a lot of people working on a big island or a peninsula, and everything they do, all the patterns they do, showcase the length of their arms. So, and I know that because I've done it, because I'm 5'8". I couldn't reach all the way across something, so I thought, no big deal. And you stand back and it looks like a big windshield wiper went across your board. I'm just going to take my time, and I want to put some really intricate, small trying to be random here too. Sometimes I'll even practice with a base color of epoxy as well, so not everything's contrasting so much until I figure out the pattern I want. As you can see, I'm not the best, but you don't have to be. You just need a process, guys. Just a process. Yeah, what you see right in front, the lighter vein right here, you see, that's actually just white pearl. And then next to the white pearl, you can actually see an opaque white, which is the same as what I'm actually applying right now. So I want to apply a couple of larger veins. Then I'm going to try to make a couple of really fine little fissures or fractures, but very small, nothing major. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go very smallest. And you'll see, it's all a process, guys, so don't panic. I know it looks like shit right now. Don't panic, says the pilot. We heated it up. It's a very good question. I like to heat up my accent colors, get them about 95 to 105, then pour them out, let them cool down, and it leaves a partially cured, much stringier epoxy that you can make really nice veins. So usually when people say, oh, I can't work with that epoxy, it's crap, it won't work, it's too thick, that's exactly when you can actually make the veins that really stick in and turn out looking so good. All right. Now, we're going to be spraying our charcoal, correct, Michael? Yes. As well as our gold. And we have gold accents and charcoal accents. And I'll just say one of the things I learned a long time ago when applying accent colors is I'm going to be spraying a gold on this. But really, I only want some really faded gold so it looks like some like rusted areas. And I'll show you a real piece of marble that we're going to mimic that in. And it needs to be really subdued and washed out. So I'm either going to spray it clear down first and then spray this into it so that it kind of washes it out so it's not really big droplets. Or what you can do is spray the gold first so that if you kind of mess something up and it's not perfectly forgiving or you go overboard, you can always come back because you're still spraying charcoal, which is dark enough, you're going to really hide that. So I always just try to say go with your most contrasting accent first because you can really tone it back down with some of your other colors. So make sure you start out by shaking it. Now this is 99% alcohol and mica powder, so it's just 99% isopropyl and our mica powders. And one thing you'll like about the charcoal is you can really leave just a not perfect, sometimes when something's perfectly black or perfectly white, it's good to put some pearl or some charcoal over it to kind of break up that pattern so it's not just an absolute perfect single color. It just looks kind of fake. So we'll see what we get out of this here, guys. It's kind of fun to spray some of the gold, so I'll spray a little heavy on one little corner or something so you can see some of the patterns. But always remember, if your customer wanted black marble, we need to give them primarily exactly what they asked for. We don't want to get carried away doing all the colors they did not ask for. To be a easy thing to do when you're spraying fun colors. I think I actually had a lady tell me, I ordered a white marble countertop, and I'd sprayed a bunch of stupid shit all over it, but it looked pretty, just not to her. Customers are right. I don't think it's wrong to do a nice little corner like this, so there we are. Now, yep, exactly. And now I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a warning of what not to do here. Remember how we were spraying alcohol, and alcohol is flammable. That if you are to spray alcohol and then light something with a torch, it can actually be a lot bigger than that. So make sure you never torch directly after spraying alcohol unless you really make sure that that alcohol has had more than adequate time to evaporate and that you've checked that surface to make sure it absolutely is not wet with alcohol on that surface before you apply a torch. So I'm going to show you, if you look at all the little veins, how they kind of look fake, and I just don't like the way all the little lines look just kind of dripped on or poured on. But I love this process, and I'm about to show you. I'm going to spray this with a clear alcohol, and it's really going to fix all these little tiny white fractures, and it's just going to break them and make them look a little more natural. So hopefully you'll like this, guys. Clear alcohol also can pop air bubbles and whatnot, and that is what I'm going to use today if I find my clear alcohol. So, and I'm going to speckle it. I don't want to spray a whole mist because a whole mist will evenly break the surface tension and it'll actually do away with the effect I'm trying to get. If I leave a big droplet in one spot on one side or the other of this vein, it's going to create a broken fracture. Practice my spray pattern down here, and I'm not going to be too fast with this. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to spray up and down this sample with big droplets of alcohol, and you'll see big divots. You should start seeing little dimples all over the surface, and that's alcohol heavy sitting on the surface. So as that alcohol sits on the surface before it evaporates off, you'll see that little divot, but it'll also push and fix that little vein we left. So just take your time in this one. You're not in any hurry. You should be mostly done with your piece now that we're spraying alcohol. We shouldn't have a lot more to manipulate, so you shouldn't be in a hurry for anything. Right. Anything else you want to see on this, Michael?
I did give you a little pearl. If someone wanted to like do pearl on top of the black, they could see like maybe another little corner.
I like pearl. Pearl's a good one. My favorite old lady right there. Pearl is a good color. It's also it's kind of subtle. So here I'm spraying pearl. You still see the black base. I didn't mix it up, so I didn't overly mix the pearl into here, but there you can see it really gives you a lot of that color. Now I could keep coming back over this with some of the white veins and whatnot and get them more contrasted on the surface, but I like them kind of hidden like that. And all the little divots, as the alcohol evaporates out, it's going to leave a really nice flat smooth surface. So please hit the follow button if you like what you see. I'm talking about the door, guys, not my tits. And please join us for a class. If this is our black marble sample, this is Countertop Epoxy, and you can always fly directly into Grand Junction for a class too. So if you want to come to a class, please join us and fly directly to our site. Don't fly all the way to Denver and then drive across. People do that a lot, but that's a lot of extra driving.